So can the landlord, your landlord, any landlord, enter the unit without consent? If they have consent, how long do they need to tell you before you provide them consent? What is the notice period required? What are the reasons? All that I'm going to discuss today in the continuation of the series, Tenancy Laws Explained. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate, as well as Remax Realtron Realty Inc. Please subscribe, comment, rate, and review. My contact info is in the description box. Get in touch with me. Today I'm dressed a little bit too casually for my taste. Hopefully you don't mind that. Anyways, let's get on with the video, shall we? So when discussing this topic, there's several questions in my experience, especially when I work with first-time landlords, homeowners, even on the other side of things when I work with tenants. Several questions typically come up. Landlords ask, can I enter the unit? Tenants ask, if the landlord requests to enter the unit, do I have to always give him consent? What is the notice period? What are the reasons? Can I refuse? Many questions that come up, and in today's video I'm going to answer those. So let's start with the main first question that I think is most important that we have to address. Can landlords request to access the property? And the answer to that is yes. Question number two might be, well, do they always need to give notice? Can they just walk in, or do they have to give some sort of notice? The answer to that can be complicated, but put simply, the landlord can, in some circumstances, enter without notice. So we have landlord entry with notice and landlord entry without notice. When we refer to notice, it has to be written notice, right? So in practice, sometimes it's not written notice. Your landlord just casually calls you up because you have a casual relationship with him. You might be renting. You might be renting from him rather for a year or two. You guys might be close with one another. So it's not as if that in practice written notice is provided all the time. In theory, though, in law, the written notice is a must. So it can be mail, email, a letter, as long as it is written notice. And in terms of the period of time required, it's a minimum of 24 hours. So when we say written notice, or notice rather, we're referring to a written notice of 24 hours. According to the Residential Tenancies Act and the Landlord Tenant Board, there is a specified time through which the landlord can request to enter, which is from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Those times are deemed to be reasonable, within reason, for a landlord to request to enter. Obviously, as we've discussed, if a landlord provides written notice within 24 hours to enter the unit, but the time they wish to enter is 1 a.m., 2:30 a.m., 5 in the morning, that is not within reason. That's why we have designated a time from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So what are some of the typical reasons for which landlords typically request through a written notice to access the property? And what are some justified reasons? So these are not just reasons that occur in practice, but what are some reasons that the Landlord Tenant Board and the Residential Tenancy Act, and through years of practice as a community, we have deemed to be justifiable reasons to accept a request? There are four main reasons, and there are obviously little reasons here and there, but they can all fit under these four main reasons. Reason number one is to carry out an inspection, for the landlord to inspect his property or her property to see if there's any defects, any damages, anything that needs to be addressed. Following from that is reason number two, which is for the landlord, whether it's out of the landlord's pocket or the tenant's pocket, doesn't matter, for the landlord to make the necessary repairs or maintenance that arose from the aforementioned inspection. So typically this is not the landlord themselves. It can be the case, but it could be a contractor, whether it's an electrician or a plumber, whoever it may be. It's not always the landlord themselves. The landlord will provide a written notice on the behalf of a contractor. Reason number three is when the landlord, whether once again by him or herself or with another individual, or if that other individual comes by themselves, is to allow access to the property for the purposes of insurer or mortgage company or bank. Because obviously if the landlord, the homeowner, has taken out a mortgage, or if there's a potential buyer and that buyer requires a mortgage to purchase the property, the insurer, the mortgagee, the financial experts require access to the property. And reason number four is to allow potential buyers to access the property, to see the property, to show the property to potential buyers. Once again, this is irregardless of whether the landlord will be there physically in person or will be there with someone else, or the potential buyer comes with a real estate agent or by themselves as well. The landlord has to provide a written notice of the period of 24 hours for such a access. So these are the typical reasons wherein the landlord may request access and the law has deemed that it is reasonable and justified, and perhaps the onus is on the tenant to provide the landlord with that access through permitting the request. Now, as I stated, there are instances wherein the landlord can enter the property without providing this prior 24 hours written notice, but these rare instances are exceptional. These rare instances are in the nature of emergencies. So one of the examples provided within the literature of the law is if there is a fire, or if the landlord happens to somehow understand and find out that there is a medical emergency occurring within the unit through the windows, via a phone call, whatever the case may be. Another way in which the landlord can enter the unit without written notice that has nothing to do with these emergencies, whether it be medical or any other type of emergency, has to do with the fact that if the landlord and tenant have agreed within the actual tenancy agreement that the landlord is to clean the unit themselves. In that case, if both sides have agreed that the landlord is responsible of maintaining and cleaning the unit, the landlord can enter the property within the hours, once again, of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. whenever they want without any notice. But in practice, that arrangement is rare. It hasn't occurred for me. Now, last question on this topic. Can I, assuming you're the tenant, refuse the landlord from entering the property even if they have provided a 24-hour written consent? And the answer to that question is no. You cannot withhold consent from the landlord to enter into the property if the landlord has abided by the law. They have provided a 24-hour written notice, and the reason for entering is one of the reasons I mentioned. You cannot unreasonably withhold that right. If you do so as a legal recourse, the landlord can actually turn to potential termination of the lease agreement. Anyways, hopefully that helped. Hopefully that answered your questions. Many more videos of this series coming out as well. I'm also have videos of the What Your Money Can Buy series coming out. I'm just waiting for a couple of closings to happen. Furthermore, other videos on other topics coming up. You can find my contact information in the description box. Contact me. Let's talk about real estate. I'll talk about basketball. I'm a fun person to talk to. I'm sure you are too. Anyways, thanks for watching, and yeah, subscribe and stay tuned.